Should you play Baldur's Gate 3 with Karmic Dice on or Karmic Dice off? That's a fun question to answer because the tabletop player in me who comes from the actual Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game prior to playing Baldur's Gate 3, I am definitely in the camp of I don't want to use Karmic Dice. I want that random element where I can have bad streaks as well as good streaks. But the other side of me is a gamer who very much plays games on easy mode every single time I play a game for the first time. If I like it enough to then play it a second time or even a third time, I will increase the difficulty each subsequent playthrough because I'm not here looking for a Dark Souls experience my first time through. I don't want to be challenged. I want to get the story. I want to have fun. If I like the story, if the game is fun, I will then go back and make things harder. So I can understand both sides of the equation here. And for me personally, I choose to have Karmic Dice turned off, but you might want to have it turned on. In essence, a truly random dice roll means that chance is at play, and there's a chance that you could have 5 or 6 really good rolls in a row, and there's a chance that you could have 10 really bad rolls in a row. And the Karmic Dice feature in Baldur's Gate 3 is a way to smooth that experience out and sort of eliminate the possibility of having really bad streaks. I think it's a great thing for Larian to have included in the game. By default, it is turned on, and we're going to dive into the game here in a minute to show you how to turn it on and off. But what's interesting here is there is an article over at Game Rant, and I'll link it down in the description below. But essentially, Reddit user Bear Foxman went in and did a test, apparently, to check whether Karmic Dice were consistently, fudging the dice rolls of enemy attacks. And apparently, to test the hypothesis, they did 6 runs of 500 attacks with Karmic Dice on for half and off for the rest. All attacks were performed on the same enemy in Act 1. And apparently what they found was that enemy attack rolls, and I'm quoting here, dramatically increased in success rates, but only on the higher difficulties for Baldur's Gate 3. On the game's easiest difficulty, Explorer mode, both the standard dice and Karmic Dice resulted in around a 53% chance of attack rolls being between 11 and 20. When the difficulty was increased to balance the standard difficulty for the game, standard dice rolls stayed the same, while Karmic Dice landed between 11 and 20%, nearly 61% of the time. And on Tactician difficulty, the dice were even skewed more in favor, with the odds of 11 to 20 happening all the way up to 80%. And that makes sense because you are playing the game on increased difficulties, and part of the increased difficulty isn't just having more hit points and more things that the mob can do, it's also whether or not the mob is going to hit you more frequently. So this is where I would look at the data that this person presented and say that's kind of what they did was interesting, but it doesn't actually show the true randomness at play here, because you have to skew difficulty in a game for there to be any sense of progression in terms of not just having more hit points than the mob, but like, is it more difficult? So one of the things you're going to see on Explorer mode is that the mobs hit for less, you have more hit points, the mobs have less hit points. And then as you crank that difficulty up, those things skew, and the hit chances change as well, which means the dice chances are going to roll as well. So really what you want to look at is the best way to see this in play is going to be in Explorer mode and Normal mode, which are going to be the traditional, like Normal mode being the traditional way that Tabletop is played. It's the default, the core rules. Explorer mode skews things in favor of the player, and Tactician mode, Honor mode, etc. skews things in favor of the game. That's the easiest way to think about it. So you can go read that article, you can look at people's discussions on Reddit, and you can debate whether or not you actually think the dice the Karmic Dice are working or not. I can tell you that I play with them off just because by default I want the tabletop experience to be there. So I'm completely fine with there being, with my characters rolling multiple ones and failing, and I'm okay with the mobs rolling multiple 20s and having critical successes against my characters, because I'm here for that tabletop experience. Which is weird considering I do love, but I also played the game on easy mode the first time through because I like story mode. This time, my second playthrough that I'm playing right now, I have it on normal custom mode. So I'm playing custom mode with normal difficulties, and I have a bunch of the dice rolls turned off because I don't want to see anything, because I want the dice rolls to be hidden, like as I actually playing the game with a DM who doesn't tell me what's going on behind the DM screen. Anyway, let's dive into the game real quick and show you how to turn the Karmic Dice on or off so that you can choose to do as you will. Let me get this screen out of the way here. All right, so I'm on the Xbox right now, but it doesn't really matter how you do this. You can do it on the PC as well. You're going to go into the options, and then it's one of the earliest ones up here, right here, Karmic Dice. By default, it is on. So all you got to do to turn it off is switch it to off, close down the menu, and now you're good to go. And from here, we can run around and find an encounter and play the game. And I think for me personally, hey man, grubby keys are worth it, guys. Grubby keys for the win. But I get it, you know, if you're someone who's struggling with the game on whatever difficulty you're playing it on, and you want to have something that feels a little smoother and feels a little better, and that you don't want to see those, those really bad rolls on your end, and you want to see, more of an even experience, you might want to have the Karmic Dice turned on. It's up to you. The options are there. It's just like the difficulty modes. However you choose to play the game is how you choose to play the game. So, Karmic Dice, do you play with them on or off? Love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down in the comments below. Don't forget we do daily streams at 8 a.m. Central Time on YouTube and Twitch, so you can pick where you tune in live. We play lots of different games. Check out the playlist. Join the Discord. I'll see everybody in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Happy gaming.